So one of the things that I've talked about is the reflections and how they work. How that water in the reflection there is a liquid mirror. And it's just on the road in front of us. You can see that puddle. Well, it lines up perfectly with that light right there, the street light. It's just what it does. I'm going to zoom in on the moon a little bit right now. About 3 years ago I took a shot of that. Wow, it's pretty spectacular. Can clearly see that it's not exactly a sphere. We got a lot of photos of it, of the moon, in the various phases and through the different seasons as well. The sun and the moon are very close, and as best I can tell, according to what Scripture says in Job 37, actually in the midst of the clouds. Joshua 10, God stopped the sun from moving. So in the context of all this, what I'd like to say is there would be no level anywhere on a moving earth. According to the Bible, the earth does not move. And according to reality, that's what we observe. Now I can hear the wind chimes moving somewhat. And I'll talk about this because I do believe it's really important. People are basing their eternity in many cases on false information. So in just a very short time, a few clouds move in front of the moon and it's very obscured, see very little of it. I have created hashtags. I didn't create them, I mean that whole process. I found hashtagging to be an effective way of collaborating with a lot of people, a combined effort of us exposing the reality of the world that we live in. Because of what I do, my efforts have been seen millions of times. And this is Robert Forsch. You can hashtag that if you care to. Now, I'm going to walk on out and just show you how that street light will appear in the middle of the road again. It'll do it every time. That's how that works. The wind is coming out of the west, northwest. We can hear the wind chimes moving. The wind is moving the chimes. Where in the world could those hang upside down? Anywhere. Well, gravity. No. As it's explained, gravity is a lie. As an added bonus, here's my phone number. And now I'm going to open up the Tides Near Me app. I'll show you the numbers on where I live here in Longs, the time and all that. What it looks like for the weather today. I'll be out doing a sunrise. Recording. Oh, I'm sorry, it was out of the southwest at 11. Now the weather app says 6:03 for the sun appearing at this vantage point. Let me go to the Tides Near Me app. Just open that up, and it says 6:02. Now they can't both be right. They can't both be accurate at this vantage point, correct? Now I'm going to go to the, take a look at the numbers, if you care to. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish can't be explained by spinning, wobbling, and gyrating oblate spheroid. It's not possible. The sun, moon, and stars are a celestial timepiece moving above the stationary Earth. That's the way that actually works. The lighting makes a difference, how things are lit up. We can hear that the wind calmed down a bit, right? Yeah, right now there's a bit of humidity out here. And we've had a good amount of rain. So we can't see the wind. As a special bonus with the melodic tones, we can hear what the wind is doing over there, moving my wind chime. Up in the middle of the view there, we can see Ted Hoffa's flag. Yeah, Jimmy Hoffa's nephew. How about that? Let's zoom in on that. I've got occurrences where it appears like there's an aerodynamic effect of the clouds around both the sun and the moon. If you hashtag local sun, you'll see I've created, I believe, a compelling amount of content to show the sun in the midst of the clouds, which that in itself totally blows the heliocentric or the sun-centered model of this explanation of our world. It blows that out of the water. Totally makes it null and void. It's not the sun isn't 93 million miles away, and the moon clearly is not 237 or 238,000 miles away. So NASA has installed itself, Satan installed NASA. Satan lies, NASA lies, Santa lies. I create hashtags to help people to find me, to find my name, to find the content that I and many others have collaborated on to put together to help expose the reality of the world that we live in to a population that largely is unaware of it. Some wake up to this and are glad. I mean, I wouldn't go back if I could. If I could go back asleep, I wouldn't want to, because the short version of all this is I thought I was born again until I actually was. Born of God's Spirit, who created this world, the God that's accounted for in the Bible as the creator. There's other gods in the Bible. Many gods, many deities mentioned. And as in Acts 17, Paul says you've got when he was talking to the people at the Areopagus, a collecting point of a lot of Greeks. He said, you've even got an altar made to an unknown God, that which you have called unknown. I'm going to explain them to you. I'm going to tell you about them. And that's largely what I've been doing with my social media activity and interaction with humanity. This also communicates another very important reality. Look how quickly that got still. There's breezes whirling around. Okay, so what this does is it helps me to show everybody that I'm truly not afraid. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That is a powerful reality. I remember being so paranoid I would pull the blinds and hide in where I was, because I was afraid to be found out. If the authorities knew I was smoking marijuana, I'd be in trouble. Now I don't use drugs. I don't take drugs. I'm free from all that addiction. Now look at the lighting around that moon. It's not the shadow of the moon on the left side of it. It's just not there. It's like a flattened out side, or a concave potentially shape on the back side of the moon. So I show the percentages of the moon. I've been chasing after this, actually leveraging the technology I'm telling on. Artificial intelligence is it's a killer. It's going to eradicate a lot of humanity. Already has. I'm exposing that. Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So there are a lot of snake oil salesmen and charlatans and popes and religious leaders that are actually collaborating with Satan to bring in this new world order. Yeah, how about that? So I'm going to try and say it. I'm going to say it again. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish, and their duration of visibility between one another can't be explained by the heliocentric model, the spinning, wobbling, and gyrating oblate spheroid that they say we live on. It's not a sphere, and it's not moving. It's the sun, moon, and stars that move. It doesn't take long for the wind chime to get still, the water jug to get still. Undisturbed water is flat and level. There would be no level anywhere if there were all the movements that the official narrative states. Wouldn't be happening. So with the wind chime, that illustrates a vertically free-hanging melodic plumb bob of sorts. Water is used to calibrate sophisticated laser levels to create structures, skyscrapers, and that. So I'm going to go ahead and post this right now. I'm going to take it on in and post it and take my therapeutic soak. I think I'm going to take you right inside. First off, I want to show you a couple of things. Watch out, team. So yeah, here's the water jug just sitting on the counter. Look at that, a couple of them. It's not moving. That's Dean Martin. He's a character. So here are the 5-gallon jugs that I fill up. And that is the technology reverse osmosis. I don't use the Tide Pods. I don't eat them or anything, of course. That's ridiculous. That's what people would say when they saw my first Local Sun video, that I'd been eating Tide Pods. Oh wow. Hey, I know what I was going to show you. I called the corporate office of this pellet Tractor Supply Company, TSC Tractor Supply Company, and I said, hey, you know, these pellets work great for cats. They used to have a big picture of a horse on here, and now they also include cats and rabbits. We use the pellets there for Dean and his brothers and sisters. So part of the deal here is that instead of the clumping cat litter that turns into almost like a cementuous, like a concrete in the lungs, it's got the fragrance of pine. It naturally neutralizes odor. It's biodegradable and all that. Right, Dean? So this system has like a 2.5 gallon tank, but I'll just have the water jugs filling up. Those are polycarbonate, by the way. That works really good. I'll actually use the baking soda for my bath water and also for washing clothes. I remember when deer hunters would get their clothes ready, they would use baking soda. They didn't want deer to be able to smell the odor of fabric softeners and that type of thing. This is a 5-gallon stainless stock pot. I'm just going to lift that straight up. Now when I tip the lid, do you think a bunch of condensation is going to run off? I do. It's just what it does. It's water seeking its level. This water right here, it's the smallest container, is about to boil. Once it's boiling, if I add a couple ounces of water, it'll stop it from boiling almost immediately.
Tychicus, the dear brother and faithful servant of the Lord, will tell you everything, so that you also may know how I am and what I'm doing.
This is a couple of years ago, the beach renourishment in North Myrtle Beach, just a little ways from the pier.
With faith from God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace to all who love our Lord Jesus Christ with an undying love.
So what book is next? Let's hear this.
Introduction to Philippians.
Philippians.
This letter, written by a prisoner, stresses that joy can be found in any situation. The prisoner was the Apostle Paul, who was in Rome when he wrote to the Philippian church around AD 61 to 63. The word joy occurs 6 times in the book. Joy stands in contrast to happiness, which depends on our circumstances. Joy is presented as the quiet, confident assurance of God's love and work in our lives, no matter what happens. This church at Philippi was the first church established on the European continent. The city still stands today in Greece. The ancient
Okay,
words written
so
in this church
I'm going to go ahead and mute that for a moment. Yeah, there's a lot of mirrors in here. I like that. So, like, we can see the variety of reflections. It's very interesting. The plane mirror is one of the evidences of the symmetry and the fact that water actually seeks level and finds it. Undisturbed water is flat and level. This is Logan Paul is actually in a shot in my photo album on Facebook with the Truthmobile and that on top of it. I had a somewhat spherical shaped water container. So I want to show you another evidence of non-movement, the crystalline bell there. Okay, so that's not moving at all. To show you it's real, I'll just and that'll take a little while to get still. I can help it out by gently setting it down, and then it'll go vertical and be perfectly still. Right, Dean? That's right. We can have tools around us to show humidity, temperature, and all that. I can typically guess the temperature and humidity within a few degrees. The cats like to drink out of the water there. Oh, those water containers. So that's highly purified, the carbon filtered water. One of the other things too is the plants generate a lot of oxygen here. Dean knows all about it. He loves chewing on toilet paper. What a character, huh? Right, Dean? This oversized whiskey glass was on top of the roof of the Truthmobile with a plastic vinyl see-through globe on it. Yeah, how about that? All these plants generate a lot of oxygen. Yeah, that's a pool table with a Select Comfort mattress on top of it. Works great. Couldn't even play a game of billiards if we were moving, spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. So for example, here's the TV, of course, and then two mirrored reflections of that. If it were a one-wall mirror, there would just be one, but because of that, you can see the reflections, how they bounce around. Of course, that's a window, but because it's pretty dark outside, it's like a black mirror, like the car, the Truthmobile is. So as a therapeutic soak, I'll use the Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate, a cup of that, and a quarter cup of coconut oil in the water. And the baking soda, the water isn't moving. See the perfect reflection there? I bought this seashell at a local beach store. Sometimes the mirror is really clean. I don't use a shower curtain. I just showered off there. This seashell is so thin that you can see through it. Not going to find that on the beach here unless somebody bought it and put it out there on the beach. It's very thin. I had that floating on this water container at the Flat Earth Conference. It's buoyancy, Buoyancy. There's another Crystal and Bell. That's the Old Spice. It's one of the few fragrances. It's a plastic container now. My mom used to get me this when I was a young boy, back when I thought Santa was real. I believed that until the age of 7. And then we were given it in 1969, July 20th, from what I understand. They faked the moon landing. I believed it. Until, I think maybe a decade ago, I realized that was a lie. I hadn't spent any time previously really giving it much thought. I just took for granted that they were telling us the truth. Once again, the water got perfectly still. Even though Dean is walking there, the water got still, and we'll float the seashell. It'll support it. Okay, so you can see the water isn't moving, and I'll set that down, and a drop fell off. Now we can see the reflection and the movement of the water, and it'll just sink when the water displaces the air inside there. I can actually let some of it out, and it'll contain some water and float still. That's all real science. That's reality. Oh my gosh, this was a long recording. So anyway, thanks so much for your public and private encouragement. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth. Feel free to reach out anytime.